table or on the floor. John's turning that page to make sure he's not agreeing to pay the fee personally or anything.
Marie, what did you say it was previously?
500.
A month?
So, Marie, the figures have adjusted in order to match with the reality of y'all's needs, correct?
Right,
Okay,
correct.
that's what I thought. Okay.
Did we gain any
Kevin, you
additional
haven't
services?
significantly raised your hourly rate or
So
anything.
services, not just
Okay,
inflation,
all right.
but
This is
services.
just basically to let us know so we can plan ahead for what we need to be spending. Okay.
He's on calls with us very often.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll offer that.
Okay. All right. The next thing is this resolution creating youth sports fall baseball program. Now, this one, we have some folks that are going to be, they would like to speak about this from the youth sports. I did get a chance to meet with Eric. I got to hear his scenario. We've got some stuff that needs to be worked out. We may want to give these folks the freedom to be able to set something up, if that's agreeable. I don't know, but we do need to hear from them. Let me ask this question. We did get a letter from the group, and I sent it out. I got it last night, and then I typed up that other thing. Did everyone have a chance to read the letter and my background stuff? Okay.
Yeah, and Brad said he didn't need a copy. He's read it, so he's
Okay.
fine.
Those are just my Cliff Notes versions of the things here in order to try to help us move things along. So, is there someone, though, who wants to go ahead and, if we get to this point, the resolution on the youth sports, or someone who wants to put it on the table?
Is,
I'll put it on the table.
Okay. Sorry, Clint, did you want?
no, you're fine. Is this feasible without a Parks and Rec director?
I think that's what we need to be discussing. So we're going to need to look at what the options and stuff are as to what, because there are different aspects between T-ball and the other
Yeah.
teams and stuff. So we want to hear from the other group to find out. If
The
we have,
only thing I
Okay, go ahead.
noticed in there was there was no discussion on funding,
right.
how it's going to be, that program will be funded.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be something y'all want to discuss when you're
Okay.
talking about that.
John, can you add that into your? No, I'm just kidding.
How much?
Actually, that might be that's probably a topic I know Eric might want to touch on anyway, so we get a better understanding about how these sports and stuff work in the first place. I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks on how this operates. Not enough to want to do it, but I've learned a lot about that particular aspect, but excellent point there. Okay, there's one other thing that I want us to put, that for first reading that I want to add onto the agenda. I hate them.
Hold on,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
have another question. So
Okay.
we say the Parks and Rec director or his replacement or acting person can create or manage the program.
Yes.
This doesn't solve a problem. This is the same thing, because if I'm acting person and I don't deem that we have the staff or the capacity, I can still say, no, we're not doing fall ball.
Oh, well, that might be a
That is a
possibility.
valid, that is a valid point.
So while I think this is a great idea, I don't think that there's really anything wrong with the current way we've been doing it, except for now we don't have a Parks and Rec director. And that is actually the problem. We need to find a replacement so that somebody can adequately manage the program.
Right.
Not that this is a yes or no type of thing, because I think if we had the capacity, we would definitely do it. We've done it before, but we don't have the manpower to run fall ball.
I mean, this is not uncommon. Having been in the park years ago, cities like Clay, they've postponed or put off certain seasons because they didn't have participation, finances Doesn't mean we're doing away with it, just that we can't handle it at this point in time.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we wait and hear from some of the people that's involved in it, and they maybe can explain that and enlighten you on that?
We may have time here during the pre-thing here if we move on. I mean, we may be able to let them go ahead and speak because
Well,
save some
it's-
time. But John, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking this, this is one of those situations, it's basically, you gotta do it now or you can't do it. I mean, it's, the time frame is here, so we don't have any time
Well,
to
if we
be
wait longer,
floating
it'll be
around.
winter ball. Is that what you're saying?
That's
It'll be-
right.
Okay, well, we'll be, yeah, I mean, and that actually, time is actually a question that needs to be asked tonight in the discussion, as a matter of fact, so. Okay, I think this will be the last thing on the, what I'm, okay, we've got a little problem here, folks. For the last two meetings, I have submitted a request for the council to discuss and consider giving some grants to the fire districts. And for whatever reason, Madam Clerk, you may, if you feel the need to chime in, you can. For whatever reason, the mayor has basically refused to add my proposal to the agenda. I do not believe he has the authority to remove items from the agenda. He should, if any one of us wants to put something up, they should be entitled to submit it to the mayor, and I think normally the clerk puts it together for him, for us to discuss. Now, you may not get a second. I have to admit, there's been times when my ideas didn't go over too well in my tenure, but you do have an opportunity to be able to do that. I do not know why the mayor is refusing to do this. However, tonight, I want to add on to the agenda a first reading of a proposal for the fire districts. I do believe when we get to public comment, I do believe that Chief Howell's here tonight. He also brought some type of show and tell item outside. I barely saw it when I pulled up, but
How could you miss that?
yeah. He might want to be able to tell us a little bit about that and everything. And Chief Horn might also be here. If not, then I'm sure he'll be talking to us in the future about their activities there on the thing. I've got a copy and I'll pass it out here in just a moment. So, is there someone else who will, I'm going to pass this down, who will put this on the floor for a first reading?
So, Robbie, the only thing that I know, and you saw it in the email that we had with Joe, was that he said it wasn't in the budget. So that's all I know. That
Okay,
was the
all
only
right.
reason that
Do you
he
know
said-
what the rules are as far as, did what I say match up with your, we've never had this problem before. As we know, the mayor has in the past said that he prided himself on the fact that he's never failed to put something any one of us wanted to put on the agenda, that he put it on there. That record unfortunately changed as of the last meeting, so, and again, for tonight's meeting, so he's not here to explain himself, but I'm just saying that we can't continue, one individual should not have veto power over this body, so hence the reason why, I mean, you guys can't, I mean, y'all may not like this idea, y'all may think this is not enough, y'all may, you may have 14 other new things you want to add onto it, and you need time to be able to start processing this. So, is there someone though who will put it on the table
I will.
as a first reading?
Oh, Brad, you want to do it? Plain T-shirt, you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right, so, okay, so we have about 25 minutes. Was there anything else?
Yes, I have one.
Okay,
more
sorry.
thing. I would like to open the floor tonight for nominations for the mayor pro tem. I know prior to me joining council, Councilor Churchwell recommended 2 years for mayor pro tem. And so we've hit that mark back in May for you. As well as I believe that, the best way to put this, I believe your intentions are well, but I think that your motivation in these last couple of months has been to make Mayor Joe Cochran look bad and not necessarily from a place of making the city better.
Well, I regret that you have taken my actions in that particular manner there on that.
Well, I can say that I know, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I know myself, I was elected and swore to represent the people, not Joe, the mayor. I mean, I like Joe. I hate it he's in that condition, but I cannot. I'm not up here to do what Joe's not going to nod at me up here and tell me how to vote. Yes or no? I'm not going to do it, and I'll vote the way I want to vote and the way I think's best for the citizens. So that's my point, and I think Robbie, you've done an excellent job with considering everything we've been through. I want to keep it the way it is.
Well, I appreciate that comment.
And I wasn't questioning anybody's vote. Just make that clear. I just said the motivation. I mean, even in this last moment of speaking about the money for the fire, we said Mayor Joe Cochran keeps putting this off, and Mayor Joe Cochran. So I'm saying items like that. But I don't want you to vote for Mayor Joe Cochran. We should be voting for the people. I want to make that very clear. We are all here for Pinson, not for the mayor. We're here for the citizens. I do agree with that.
Yeah, and I would remind council that one of the league's tenets is that the mayor and council are a team. And I do feel that there has been some contention from certain people with the mayor from this council. So that is what it is.
Well, and I will admit, I've had some contention with him, but if he were to call you a bitch a lot, in public and to my face, you would have some problem with him too.
Understood.
Okay? So, I'm here to...
Contention is one thing, personal conflict is one thing, but when we're doing city business, that doesn't need to come into play. That's all I'm saying, and that's the message from the League of Municipalities, so.
Well, we have always had a very good relationship up here. Unfortunately, people have begun to try to question my motives. I've had serious discussions with the mayor as recently as this month. I basically told him my personal observations concerning his behavior and concerning his lack of attention to detail here at City Hall. It's no secret the mayor's never here. His illness has prevented him from being able to do his job. And it's caused a lot of frustration on the part of the staff. We've lost staff members. We will continue to lose staff members. It's created a lot of tension within my personal family trying to wrestle with this. As Mayor Pro Tem, I get exactly an additional $50 a month in compensation. With my current hours on this job, I'm approximately making less than 4 cents an hour on this. So it's not exactly something that I have. I've not been trying to, some people have tried to read my mind and try to think of future plans that I might have. I've never said anything about any future plans that I might have. I have served this community initially. I'm glad Chief Howell's here tonight. He can vouch for this fact. I served on the Palmerdale Fire Board for 16 years, uncompensated. I served on the library board here. I served on the Planning and Zoning Board. I have all of those jobs paid zero. I did it for community service and because I wanted this place to be better. It's where I grew up. The next thing was I was elected to the city council. It's now been 12 years ago. I do have a Alabama League of Municipalities recognition for training at the advanced level. I've spent a lot of time under Mayor Cochran and under Mayor Sanders learning the various things and about the operation of the city. Again, I could have spent my time in a lot of other things and made a lot more money, but it would not have given back to the community, which I so dearly love. Again, I regret the health issues that the mayor faces. No one would ever want this to happen. I regret that he has continued to stay in the job as long as he has. given the fact that I know personally that he is unable to fulfill this job because he's not present. And not only do you need to be intellectually sharp and on top of things, but you also need to be someone who is physically capable of being able to come to work, do your job, get out with the citizens, be proactive on things. And unfortunately, we spent probably the first year of his illness all working through this, and everybody was really pulling for Joe and hoping things would go well. But then basically we became enablers. And at that point forward, we pretty much have just propped him up, and we continue to just deceive ourselves by thinking that things are running normally. It bothers me that you think that the fact that I would want this city to be the best that it can be is a personal aspiration. Look, I have a really nice job, the dream job that anybody would want to have in my personal life, and I don't need to be up here doing this, but I'm certainly open, and I'll add it under the new business. Clintisha, if you'd like to put it on the table, a motion to open the nominations for the mayor pro tem job. John will have to move, though, if I happen to not be reelected, because I do want my old seat back.
You're not getting this one.
Is that the desire?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
To me, and I wasn't going to say anything, but, Joe and I have been friends for going on 20 years now. We've worked together, played together, and all of what you want to do, been around the city that many times together, and we're still friends. I do not condone a lot of stuff that he has let happen, but still, he's still a person, and we need to look at him in that event and respect him and get along as best we can. And then I continue to do that. I vote for him sometimes, I vote against him sometimes. But it's not a person thing, it's the issues that I vote for. And that's the way it's going to continue to be. But you coming up and wanting to do something to Robbie because how he's acted, we're not doing any better than what you say we've been doing to the mayor. So going from one to the other don't make any sense.
What do you mean by that, Councilor Churchwell?
You're saying we've treated the mayor bad.
No, I didn't say that. I said that I felt that Robbie's motivation has been from a place of making the mayor look bad. I didn't say what you just said.
The motivation.
Yes.
Well, sometimes Robbie didn't like the mayor's motivation. You don't like the Robbie's motivation. So we're gonna get rid of both of them?
I mean, I can't make a new vote for Joe, honestly speaking, but what I can do is we can change the mayor pro tem. We have a staff here who's ready to leave. All of them are looking for positions. And we have had things going behind each other's back. We're getting up here, we're saying, oh, we need documentation. I talked to the staff, there's been no documentations for any of this budget stuff or any of the stuff that we're putting them through with all these special meetings. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we're voting against anybody. I'm not saying that he hasn't done his best. I'm not discounting anything that you've done for the community. What I'm saying is these last 3 to 6 months, it's too much back and forth. We're causing more drama than making progress in the city.
Who's fault?
And we cannot run the city without the staff. I don't care how good we think we are, but I promise you, if Jaleesa and Heather and Jackie and none of them come to work, we cannot run the city.
Well, we know that, but whose fault is that? We don't have a leader, Quintisha. We
And
do
the mayor
not have a
pro
leader.
tem
Tim should be
steps
that
in
leader.
as the leader behind the
He
mayor.
is.
And
But the mayor now, here we go, he will not let him put things on the agenda now.
Sorry to say, Clintisha, I can't even get him to put things on the agenda.
And the
Imagine
mayor,
what-
and the last time me and you spoke, you said that the mayor requested documents from the fire station. Did we provide those documents to him?
We're not the fire station.
You've been in contact with the fire station. Do you know if those documents were provided? Did you
I don't
advocate to
think we'd
get
have
those
to,
documents?
I don't think we have to provide them. If he
Okay.
wants documents from the fire station, he can make a request.
That don't exist, that he had somehow gotten in his head it did, but there are no documents.
Okay, so did we go back to talk to the mayor about that? As the mayor pro tem, the person standing in the gap, the liaison?
Yes, I
did
reached
you talk
out,
to
I
him?
reached out, and you are aware of this.
Yes.
That I reached out to the mayor for conversation last week regarding one of the issues that we're going to be talking about tonight. The mayor does not answer. He does not answer his phone. He does not answer his text. He does not answer his emails. He's offline. Listen, there's only so much a mayor pro tem can do. If Joe calls me up and says, Robbie, I'm in trouble and I'm not going to be able to do my job for a week, then I could step in and I'm sure this staff, as loyal as they are, I'm sure that they would follow my lead. But it's not fair to them for me to come swinging through here at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning and say, hey, I think we need to be doing this just because Joe's not around. That's not going to fly. He's still here in this town. The problem is he's just not present at the job. This is a bad limbo situation. And if anybody else is crazy enough to take this job, then they're going to find that out pretty quick too.
Well, let's give them an opportunity, and we'll see. But this is not a jab at you. I'm not questioning anything you're
Well,
doing.
I will say
I know
this,
that
and I
you're
want to say
taking it
this
as that,
publicly.
but it's not a jab at you personally.
I
And you're-
personally reached out to you about some of these other items, and you did not respond.
What did I not respond to, Robbie?
Uh,
You reached out to me about the
park-
parents that
the
are coming.
park, and the park-
Yes,
the-
and I've
the
talked
park,
to I've talked to Eric, and I've done all the follow-up work to be present and to be accounted for this
But you
meeting.
never called me and said, hey, Robbie, I think maybe you ought to step away from pro tem job.
I don't need to call you for that.
Well, it would have been good if you had, instead of waiting to tonight to do it up here.
Okay. Well, as you're attacking me, I will still make the motion to open the floor. I'm telling you, this is not a jab to you personally. And if it's only $50 a month, it ain't worth going back and forth with me about. If you know that it's a hard job and it's taxing on you and your family, let it go.
You're not running me off that easy.
Okay then. So you just said all those things, but you still want to hold on to it. This is not about me and you.
It's not
So
him holding on to it, Letitia. It's,
Well, state code calls for, or specifies that the mayor pro tem, in the absence of the mayor, has the same authority as the mayor without the voting privileges of the mayor. You still get your vote, just not the mayor's vote. And you can't veto ordinances or resolutions. I can kind of see, you reached out to us for what to do on the parent situation with the park. That's your job at this point. If the mayor's not responding, it's still your job as the mayor pro tem.
That's an interesting area. So I'm supposed to fill in for the mayor when he's not present, and yet, even though he still lives in this city, and he will not respond and answer text messages or phone calls or anything else,
The mayor doesn't respond to your text?
no,
Okay.
no.
So the short answer to that, by law, is yes. That's the short answer.
I don't know
Well,
I have not called a staff meeting as the pro tem to see how they would feel about following my leadership in that.
Okay.
I have never wanted to feel like anyone would think that I was pulling some type of a power play or a coup by running the city behind Joe's back.
And I don't think it would be observed as that. I really don't. However, have you gone and sat face-to-face with the mayor to communicate with him outside of emails and texts?
He does not come to City Hall anymore.
Have you been to his house? Have you
I
made
do not-
arrangements
I
to
do not
visit
bel-
him?
I have been to his house on numerous occasions. As I said about a year ago, I realized that we were enabling him by catering to this, and I said, no more. Because basically, when I would go up to his house, he would elaborate on the fact of what was going to happen, and he didn't care really about what I had to say. And I've known Joe for 33 years. We used to live on the same street, so it's not like I don't know and don't admire the man. It saddens me deeply for what all's happened to him. But I also, though, love this city. And I should resign as a city councilman if I'm not willing to fight for the people. And that is the fact that they deserve to know what's going on, and they deserve to be able to have a well-run city. And that has not been happening now for quite some time. And my intent is while some may construe it as the fact that I'm trying to take his job, it's more a case of I want people to understand what is not being done.
He's not, he
Interesting.
can't do his job. He can't. I mean, if you were in the situation, you couldn't do your job. But he told the people he would be a full-time mayor, and I understand what happened to him. He couldn't help that. But he's not a full-time mayor. The people and the citizens are asking me all the time, who is running this city? Who's running it? But you talking about going to his house? The attorney told me you do not go down there and do business at his house. That's not legal. It's got to be done here. Joe won't come and do it.
That is understood as far as a legal requirement, but you could communicate with him and say, hey, this is what we need to do. This is the direction we need to go. How do you feel about that? Yes, he can't communicate verbally, but I've been to his house to visit,
Oh, I know.
and we had good conversations. It was over text.
Well,
We
that
had
part of
good
that,
conversations.
I know, but part of that might be because y'all may have similar thought processes on some of his goals. You have to remember, I'm coming at him at times from an adversarial position. Those conversations may not go quite as well.
They don't have to go well. They don't have to go well. The whole point that I just made about the council and the mayor being a team, that would have been part of it. But you chose not to be a part of that team.
I
And-
did
and
that
have
for
con-
at least 17 months after his diagnosis.
while he was still able to communicate.
Yeah.
But not since?
Not at his house. I've had many conversations with him by text.
Okay.
I mean, the man can't speak anymore anyway. He has to use the machine, so he's going to be typing the stuff in. So typing in, whether it's by email or text message, is really basically the same.
There is a difference when you're face to face with people. There's a
And
huge
this is the
difference.
city hall.
It is.
But you just said he didn't respond to text or email. But now you're saying that you do text him.
Well, it's been one way this week. But in the past, we did text and email.
So,
Okay, so for just a week, he hasn't responded?
and we know that
2
he's
weeks.
We
on,
know that he's,
under the
2
weather,
weeks.
which is why
2
he's
weeks.
not here. So
2
prior
weeks.
to that, he was responding to you, correctly?
2 weeks
Correct.
ago.
2 weeks ago, you reached out, he responded, correct?
You wouldn't believe the responses that I got. Madam Clerk was privy to some of them, and I hope people don't have to actually ever see some of that stuff. We are going to take a breather. The meeting will start at 7 o'clock. We will move through the agenda. I do know that there will be some folks that will want to speak on some matters that we have coming up. I do know that during the public comment section also, I do believe that Chief Howell is going to want to talk to us also about what's going on at the fire department and everything, so.
Can I make one other comment? When we talk about the fire department, what Robbie's doing, Joe knows perfectly well we have to support our fire departments. He knows it. He's the mayor. And what was it, a year or 2 years ago, we promised him a certain amount of money. We didn't give him a dime last year. So, you know, we've got to support the fire department. I
Is
mean,
this
they are
specifically to
valuable.
Palmerdale? Because we gave money to Centerpoint.
Well, yep, we didn't give any to Palmerdale.
We haven't gotten anything.
Okay.
No, and we promised him, And Joe promised him, that's our mayor, he promised him. But yeah, he doesn't want to give him any money.
I mean, it was told to me, as long as the council will count on that money every year unless something crazy happens, whatever, you know. So we do expect, I budgeted it in every year, the last 2 years. Really.
covers it up.
How much were you promised?
Well, I just did. You want to meet for a second?
We'll be ready at what, 7 o'clock?
Yeah, we got about 6 minutes.
Hold on, this ain't a complete sentence.
Was that not one time?
John, did you understand what I was saying? Did you understand what I was saying? I wasn't trying to take jabs at anybody. I want to make sure you know that. But hopefully you got the point.
I'm much better since the last time.
Good.
They were just.
Well, I really felt bad about it last time. I knew Joey would have a tit for tat business, and they
I think they ain't got an attitude. Hot. He can play. What you talking about?
Robbie, yours is a large, right?
Yeah.
The extra large. That part I remember. No, John's a large.
John's old. Yeah.
Now this was changed. You didn't have any insurance. That's what
Yours should be.
To just show.
Yeah, they told me, get through the run.
Double extra fat boy large.
I had a 2X. I wanted a little big.
Yes, you did. All right, I think I got you a 2X.
Yeah.
These 2X.
there.
Got them in my hand.
The resolution.
Yes, I did.
Got you covered.
All right.
Okay, Marie, so I offer a motion to open the nomination for Mayor Pro Tem. Is that the right word?
3 2X's in a row.
Yes.
2X?
Okay, thank you.
And then we do this.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then, based on, okay, Brad, do you want to offer the resolution? Well, but whoever, we'll pick it.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they're a little small. I got an extra large one and it was real small.
I did the same.
Listen,
Hey.
she's sending a bunch of lines.
that happened there, but we want to go ahead and get started. Eric, are we live? All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Pinson City Council to order for the meeting on September the 19th, 2024. Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you have any cell phones or anything like that with you tonight, we'd appreciate you going in and silencing them at this time. Father, we again thank you for this evening and for allowing us to be able to come here. And Father, I know that we always want to lean on you for wisdom and for understanding about the things that we do. Father, we know that we are just people and that we are just, we are not given divine capabilities, Father, to be able to do things, but we do know that you are able to work in our lives. Father, we ask for patience and understanding, while we also ask, Father, for extra understanding whenever we get to situations where we may have not understood each other very well. Father, I just ask that you would again be with our first responders and all the many things that they do. Father, we're thankful for the folks at Palmerdale and Centerpoint and at Glenwood. We thank you, Father, for the new truck that's being shown outside by Palmerdale, and we know that they're very proud of that, and we thank you for that too. Father, we thank you for the people that are here. We just ask that you would continue to bless this city and be able to bring good things here to the city of Pinson. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Counselor Irvin. Here. Counselor Walker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts.
Here.
Counselor Churchwell.
Here.
Counselor Kirkland.
Here.
Mayor Cochran.
Okay, Ms. Kirkland, I believe we've got something here with the minutes.
Yes, I would like to offer a motion to approve and waive the reading of the minutes for September the 5th as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion.
You owe me a soda.
Got me.
Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. I'm going to suspend the rules at this time. We've got a couple of special guests here tonight. The first one up is Mr. Ronnie Dixon. We've got some type of festival, I believe, Ronnie, going happening here soon, and I know that you want to give us an update.
Yep, thank you for allowing me to be here.
Make sure the mic's on there. Is it?
There you go.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. This is our 19th annual Butterbean Festival. At the board meeting the other day, we had Barry and Dorland said we didn't think it'd go 4 years, and so we're on 19. Yeah, they're pessimistic.
Beans grow every year.
We are. That's right.
Okay, all right,
Hey,
okay.
Don't tell California Lima Association that though. 'Cause they have disowned us.
Uh-oh.
But it is our 19th year this year, and we're already planning on next year. Because it's the 20th, we want to do stuff a little additional. So this is this year's worker shirt, the blue tie-dye. Y'all each have one, and we'll be handing them out to all the workers in the next couple of weeks. The patron shirt is red tie-dye with the single color. Next year's going to be red and blue with the white writing, so we'll have patriotic theme next year for our 20th Butterbean. I do want to make something official, I guess you'd say. I evidently screwed up last year when I didn't officially ask the council to increase our budget for Butterbean and chamber support. And so I'd like to do that if you could. We would love to have an additional $5,000 for Butterbean next year and for the chamber support. We suffer through the same financial extremes that everyone is right now. And so if you could consider that when you look at your budget, we would appreciate it. From the festival standpoint, We have 12 more, as of today, we have 12 more booths than we had last year.
Wow.
We're at 162. We have a new sponsor that this year will just be a booth, but next year will be a major sponsor of the carnival. That's Dobbs Ford, the old Jim Skinner Ford. They attended our chamber meeting on Tuesday, the new owners. Their last name is Goshen. So they introduced themselves and jumped right on board. Wednesday morning, we had a new member application, and by Wednesday afternoon, we had an application for a vendor to Butterbean. So I think they're going to be someone who really supports the community and someone that we can lean on for additional support. Nothing's changed this year except our stage will all be local entertainers, but they are, except for the clogging group, they are all professional musicians. So they make their living at nightclubs and bars and churches, the whole gamut, but they get paid for doing it. So we're looking for more exciting events down on the stage this year. The carnival will be here just for y'all, Marie. The carnival will be setting up on Monday before. They're doing the Etowah County Fair and extended it a day until Sunday, so they won't start coming in until Monday, the 30th, I guess. And
When will they open? When will the carnival open?
the carnival will open on Wednesday night if it doesn't rain. Wednesday night if it doesn't rain. They go by weather, and they have to do their light, they call it the light show. It's when they do their inspection to make sure everything's working, and the inspector from the state is here to make sure all the rides are safe. So they can set up in 2 days and then do their light show on Wednesday night. When they do the light show and it's approved, then they can open. So if the weather's good on Monday and Tuesday, they'll be open on Wednesday. If not, then they'll open on Thursday. Their prices have remained the same after a little cajoling with the $1 per ticket and then the $18 wristband. So that'll be the same as it was last year. And we have 2 more food vendors that have never been here before. But we really are running the gamut of food this time, from Cajun to barbecue and everything in between. So we're looking forward to it. We're expecting the same kind of crowd. If the projected weather holds, we're going to have good weather, and might be a little warmer than it was last year, but I think we'll still have good weather. And somewhere around 50 to 75 people in the run on Saturday morning, so they like that cooler weather. Any questions?
So, Ronnie, you saying that gets me thinking about, Madam Clerk, our next meeting would be scheduled while the carnival is in progress there?
Yes.
Okay, so Ronnie, will there be, I'm sure we can make some accommodations with the staff about still having the meeting here, but
I think last time
how
y'all
much-
moved it to the library. Last time that happened. I don't,
yeah, we actually
Moved it, okay.
we actually moved the meeting date is what we ended up doing, so.
It goes the 1st of October.
Correct, that's what I say, so
Right.
we're,
we'll-
okay, I just want to clarify that, we'll come
Yeah,
back to it,
we'll-
I just want to make sure, when you said they're going to set up on Wednesday, that's when I thought, ding, ding, okay.
If we need some more drivers for golf carts and stuff, so
Okay.
park across the street, well, I can make sure we got drivers here too.
Okay, great.
That can supplement your
Great.
staff. And y'all got plenty of golf carts to run back and forth.
Well-
We'll bring ours too if we need to.
Some say this place is a carnival, so maybe we can make it literal.
We might charge admission, how about that?
Thank you, Ronnie. Is there any
Okay.
questions anybody has?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Appreciate it. Okay, next is Kevin Wallace. Kevin's our CPA here at City Hall. As everybody knows, we've had a lot of discussion about our finances and stuff. And anyway, we've asked Kevin to join us and perhaps give us some insight as far as to what's going on. Kevin, I'll say this in opening, is that I only hear good things about you, both from our staff and from our auditor. So we appreciate
that.
your work here.
I want to tell you what you want to know, but I don't want to use up more time than you need. What we're working on now is, as you mentioned, just going through financials, reading reports, seeing where line items might need more attention than others. There were suggestions, recommendations by the auditors, trying to put those into place, working on systems, just a little bit closer. That's okay. I'll just stand closer. Just trying to get processes in place for the accounting. So I'm open for any questions that you may have.
Somebody else want to go first?
I got a question.
Okay.
To follow up about the budget, can the system generate accurate reports without a standing budget in there for us to compare?
It'll generate reports. It'll give your standard income statement, balance sheet, things like that. I would recommend having a budget in there because that way you can run the budget versus actual. But you can generate some reports.
Just not a budget versus actual report.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's,
Just to be clear.
if there's no budget, it'd be hard to do that. But we can do an actual.
Yes.
Okay. Was there any issue with the possibility of doing a budget versus doing a budget and inputting the numbers for a quarterly basis? So in other words, we went in there and did a 3-month budget and then compared that to what was going on and then later go back and change the numbers to a 6-month. In other words, is it possible to change the budget within the system, the budget numbers within the system
To update
during
the
the
budget?
year? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, most accounting programs will allow that.
Okay, Kevin, we had some, there were findings, in our budget report that came out there, and I know that's part of the stuff that you've been working on, so I didn't know if you might want to speak to some specifics, because we were told that some steps were going to be taken there as far as for addressing those matters, so I didn't know if you want to actually step through them. The first one was the aspect of separation of duties, and because we've got some overlap and stuff there on that, so have y'all been able to work through that?
I wouldn't say all the way work through it, working on it, yes. Yes, getting things in place. My view is let the technology do the work for you, and there are some things that'll be built into the technology, or that are built into the technology that should be able to give you some more separation of duties.
Okay. So what, it brought to my attention that we have never put together any written internal policies here at the city with regard to our financial area. So the good news is that Marie's been with us practically since we started, so we have someone with a vast knowledge. The bad news is that we've never written it down. So things like who goes to the post office and who opens the mail and who enters this and who does that. And anyway, it's never been written down. I gave the staff a template. I didn't know whether or not that was something else that y'all were working on as far as being able to have an actual set procedure in place.
I've not seen the template, but actually what we're doing at other organizations we work with is ChatGPT. You give the information, tell it what you want, and it'll give you some pretty good written policies that way.
Okay. So is that something that you're working on, or?
In process, yes.
Okay. Okay. The next item that was on there was with regard to and we know that there was a lot of issues with the software and stuff and I know because you helped do a lot of working with the staff, helping straighten a lot of that out. So, but were issues there regarding entries and the fact that mistakes being made on the entries and for some entries being left out and that sort of thing. So, have you been able to figure out a way to help our staff to be able to overcome these issues? Most of these problems we have a very good staff here, and most of these issues have been the result of the software change and them being able to master that. So how do you feel about that software as far as you personally running it? Because I asked that question because, we want somebody around here that actually knows how to do it, because these ladies, they're going to have questions as they do their job.
Anytime you go through a change in software, there's there's hurdles, there's bumps, there's changes. But typically, we have been able to get over the hurdles and get it smoothed out. The software is like any of the others. There's differences. A lot of our agencies, for example, use QuickBooks. So used to using QuickBooks a good bit. So, but we've used lots of different software, and so it's just a matter of finding which buttons to push and which software to get it to do what you would want it to do in any other program.
Okay. And then the third thing had to do with overtime pay and payroll aspects. And so because we didn't have anybody doing any review there, especially for the senior staff, who they go through and they actually review the pay for the folks underneath them. But as we approached the top of the pyramid, we needed some system in place there for them. Have you looked at that?
We have not addressed that yet, but I have some suggestions. We use other programs that will identify when you're close to the 40 hours per week.
Okay.
It requires a supervisor to sign off before it can be approved. So there's some built-in, I'll say, safeguards on some other programs we use. So that's some suggestions I might could offer.
Okay.
Can
So-
I interject just a second
Sure,
on
go
that?
ahead.
We have actually gone to before we could just approve, one person could approve, and we've actually changed it where I can approve even my staff, where before it would just go through on my approval.
Okay.
Now it's a two-step. So I approve and then Eric approves behind me. So
Okay.
that's something we have put in place. I don't think Kevin knew that.
Okay.
That's kind of an inside thing.
Okay. My last question is with regard to the, as you know, because we brought you in, our previous accountant had left us, and we went for a time period there without an accountant in the middle of this transition and everything. And so but some of us have still got some concerns about the audit that we recently came through. We've completed our, last year has closed. I don't know how, I haven't asked the staff how close they are as far as closing out the books, but I didn't know how close you feel that we are to being able to potentially talk to the auditors about speeding up the process of our audit for our most recent fiscal year, which would give the council more confidence about that we're moving in the right direction, which I personally believe we are moving in the right direction, but to actually have outside sources come in and confirm that. So in other words, the preparation for the audit, traditionally, I believe y'all don't start until, is it December, Marie, or?
They
November?
actually start normally on a normal
Right.
year in October.
Okay.
And then they give the report in December.
Okay. Yes, unfortunately, this year, due to issues that occurred, we didn't get the report until, does anybody remember? June?
Late.
Late, yeah.
Yes, about 6 months late there on the thing. So we want to try to speed up the process as much as we possibly could, because we think that information could be valuable. So we didn't know what your thoughts were on that, or if that was on your radar.
We've started the process. We've started looking at year-end numbers, trying to see where things kind of stood out that might need our attention. So I would let probably the staff probably could speak better to that right now than I could, but we have started the process.
When you're looking at a budget, and the mayor has prepared a budget that we've delayed and discussed, and I won't go into all that, but moved around there with for quite some time now. Trying to figure out how I want to say this. And I understand where the thinking comes from on this right here, but by state law, we are required to only spend 90% of the funds that we have coming in. It keeps councils from basically spending every last penny and then suddenly finding out, we didn't think about that, and give yourself a safety cushion. In our case, we were told that as of, 15 months ago, we had a 5-month reserve of cash in hand. The mayor has made several statements here during the council meetings that we have several $1 million in the bank, especially when an expenditure is being discussed. Is there a way for us to be able to understand a little bit better, for the council to get a report concerning those numbers that may be available in the reserves, and specifically, which ones that they might have access to? So the reason I ask that question is that I believe that we have reserves present, and that we should factor those into our budget discussion, because there's no rule just because we collected taxes back last year that we could not use those funds in doing our budget for this year. The funds are still available, so I don't know what the difference would be. The budget that he put together was based on expectations of revenues for this particular fiscal year, but without having any, without tapping back into the previous budget items. Previous reserves that we might have. But we're just all a little confused about what reserves we have and what we can touch, because we know that there are various requirements, and we all clearly know that, there's certain funds that we can only spend the monies on in particular areas. So while we can say we have several $1 million in the bank, if a large percentage of that happens to be in road funds, obviously we couldn't be, adding that new second floor onto this facility. So how difficult would it be to be able to find that information so that the council could perhaps go back and reevaluate this budget and include those funds in there in the future?
I may have to.
Now, this was not meant to be stump the accountant.
That's kind of what it's turned into a little bit. Yeah.
And let me say this as a lifeline, because we did not talk in advance or anything like that. Perhaps I should put that in the form of a request that you might be able to figure that out and get back with us, get with the staff and be able to do that.
Yeah,
And
since I don't have numbers with
that it would
me
be
right
helpful
now.
for us. No numbers off the top of your head. That'd be too much. But
Sure.
that was all my questions. Anyone else?
I do have another question, Kevin. You mentioned letting the system do what it's supposed to do. What do you mean by that? When it comes to separation of duties specifically?
So Kevin, you want to elaborate a little bit about what the purpose of the separation of duties is?
Well, separation of duties is to, the overall thing would be to prevent any kind of misappropriation funds, not a guarantee, but to help there. The system, it doesn't know to change numbers, finagle numbers. It's going to go with what's put in there. The system is accessible by different people who can see the numbers at the same time, see what's going on. It can primarily provide the oversight, just being able to see what's in there, see what's going on.
Does it time stamp every change and by whom?
Most do, yes. You can do an audit trail typically.
Okay. My next question was, you mentioned we could put in the quarterly numbers. Can you tell the system this is a quarterly budget versus an annual? Or is it just a matter of putting in a different
You
number?
would just put in the numbers and then tell the system what time frame you want to run the report for.
Okay, so if I put in a number today, I ran a report and it's got me in the green. And then I change that number for the year, and I run this same month over, but some kind of way those months don't even out anymore. Do you think that that's still an accurate way of knowing actual to budget? You see what I'm saying?
I'm not sure that I follow exactly.
Let's say you tell me you got $200 today, and I am, I don't know, 200, 279. I'm still on that number today, and you run it. Well, then 2 months from now, you say, hey, you got 250. And then when you run that report over that 60 days, and I'm at 300, even though I'm still spending in the same increments, I'm now out of budget. You get what I'm saying? Does that
Are
make
you
more sense?
talking about changing budget numbers or changing the actuals?
Changing budget numbers. Because if we put in quarterly numbers and run a report for present day, and then let's say 6 months down the road, we change the numbers, and if we want to run previous reports, because that budget is different, that budget to actual essentially would kind of change, because that budget number would be different. Am I correct?
You're right, yes. It would change the budget. The system's going to print out what you put in there, what you tell it to. Are you in the habit of getting financials?
We're trying to get in the habit. We have a request. And so that's why we're trying to make sure that it can give us what we're wanting. Because it's one thing to say we want something, but we really need to know, can the system give us what we're requesting?
This
so that
system
we can make
definitely-
informed decisions as a council.
Yes, give you what you want.
Okay.
And my answer there would be, you compare it to prior months. You see if the numbers have changed. You do a month to date, you do a year to date. You look at a balance sheet, you look at an income statement.
So maybe a couple of extra steps, but we can always
Yes,
reconcile.
yes.
Okay.
Linda, you and John?
No, I'm fine.
This is the man of the hour here.
I know it. We have him here.
Nervous man of the hour.
How often will you be here?
It depends. It varies. Initially, when we're going through a process like this, there's more time involved in the first. For some reason, 3 to 4 months seems to be the magic number. And my philosophy there is the first month, we might not have a clue what's going on. We're doing it. The second month starts to get a little more familiar. Third month, like the power bill, for example, we see what we've done with it the prior 2 months, so we know what to do. So 3 to 6 months, it tends to pick up speed, and then after that, usually our time is drops. That's why on the contract, I give that range. My philosophy is I'd rather give you a number that's higher than what it ends up being,
Right.
and that usually makes clients happier to come in under, versus if we give you a low number and then I have to explain why it ended up costing a lot more.
Well, I know, I'm happy you're here, and I know the staff is. I'm thrilled that you're gonna be here to help the staff, because they've been struggling, and none of us has ever blamed them for anything. It's not any of their fault that we've had these issues. And no one in the public, so, but I know it's difficult for them, and I appreciate us being
For
able
me,
to have you
it's
here.
kind of like a puzzle. You start to put the puzzle together, and it takes a while, but then once the pieces start to fall into place, it'll pick up speed.
Right, it will.
Brad, you got?
I'm good.
So, I thought her question actually was slightly different, so I'll ask it a little differently there. Kevin, is it possible that you could attend a meeting monthly here with us, especially these second meetings of the month? We usually have our city attorney here during the first meeting, but the council has these questions about these things, and so, and we're not trying to put the staff on the spot or whatever, and it's helpful to have someone who's a contractor as yourself come in and answer some of these questions, because we do want to have a budget, and we do want to have something, that works with there on that, but we want to have some clarity about what all's going on, so.
It's generally the same time of the month as this month.
It is,
It's a general rule, yes.
okay.
I mean,
Does
I-
that change our rate?
Huh?
Does that change our rate?
Depends on how long we keep him here, right?
Overtime?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Bobby, can I make a motion?
We haven't got, no, we still got to go through the regular order here,
Okay.
so he was just the special guest.
Okay.
All right, I will go ahead and reinstate regular rules. So next, we're going to move on to committee chair reports and the finance report. Ms. Irvin, on the payment of the bills.
Yes, I would like to offer a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $214,714.83.
Second?
Motion and a second. In the pre-council, we mentioned a couple of large items. Did you want to go ahead and mention what was going on
Yes,
there?
our largest is for the sheriff's department. We actually caught up for 3 months, which was around 89,000, and then also some paving work that we had done. That was 75,000.
Excellent. Are there any questions? Any further? Okay. All in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, we'll let y'all roll along with those bills as usual. We're going to move on now to new business. And Glenda, I believe you had I think Brad actually had this on there, a motion concerning Kevin.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we renew our agreement with our accountant, Mr. Kevin Wallace.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, so on that. Good news, Kevin, you passed the test there on that. Earlier, we joked that he had to give this update before this was going to be on the agenda, so we want you to stick around, please. But, well, maybe. We're fixing to take the vote, so we'll find out. Any other questions about this particular aspect?
No.
We grilled him before, so. Let's see. This was not on the agenda, so do we need a motion to consider first, Madam Clerk?
We can do
Yeah, we
that.
should.
Okay.
Counselor Irvin,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Churchwell,
Yes.
Counselor Kirkland.
Yes.
Okay, now I call for a roll call vote on the motion to approve the agreement with Mr. Kevin Wallace.
Counselor Irvin,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts.
Yes.
Counselor Churchwell,
Yes.
Counselor Kirkland.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. We appreciate that. Next, Mr. Churchwell.
Which one have I got now?
You're on a youth sports
Youth
baseball
sports.
program.
This is a resolution written to establish the creation of a youth fall baseball program in the city of Pinson. Whereas the city of Pinson understands the importance of the continuation of sports leagues for the youth in the community for the development of teamwork, good sportsmanship, and beneficial physical exercise. Whereas the city of Pinson understands the importance of citizen involvement and input in the area of youth league sports in the city and desires to work with both parents and coaches to provide a quality sports opportunity for area youth. Whereas the city of Pinson has made a significant investment in maintaining and upgrading the Pinson Youth Sportsplex complex and desires to see the facility used to the fullest extent possible. Whereas the city of Pinson has had a fall baseball program in the past and has had considerable interest from both parents and coaches to continue such program. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pinson, Alabama, while in regular session on September the 19th, 2024, at 7:00 p.m. as follows. The City Council hereby calls for the immediate creation of a fall baseball program for youth league sports within the city. The program shall consist of the necessary number and age ranges of teams so as to allow any children the opportunity to participate in the program. Number two, the city shall coordinate with the coaches and parents to establish a schedule of games with other teams from other youth sports programs this fall. The direction of Parks and Recreation or his acting replacement shall have the authority to take the necessary steps to create and manage the program. That's it.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay. So, this is a little different type scenario than what we customarily have. So, And I don't know if, I know that Eric's been charged with having to handle some of this stuff, and I don't know if you'll want to speak to anything regarding this, but we did not have on the agenda some individuals that are very interested in this fall program to allow them to speak during the the early part of our meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suspend the rules and allow them to be able to come up and talk about what y'all have in mind, because we may or may not want to be able to have fall ball, and I know there's a lot of questions already about, what we'll have to do to be able to make it happen, so. Please introduce yourself and give your address as you speak, so that the clerk can keep up with that for our records, so.
I'm Alicia Pippin.
Alicia,
Oh,
give
my
your address too, yeah, sorry.
Oh, 4736 Innsbrook. My address?
Mhm, yeah.
Parkway, Benson, Alabama.
Innsbrook Parkway.
35126.
Alicia, we asked that question because you may find it shocking, but there may be a second Alicia Pippin here in town, and we want to make sure that you're not speaking for them too.
I don't think
so.
you want to. I'm sorry.
Well, we treat everyone the same. so.
Okay. So, we've had fall ball every year previously. I know it was mentioned that Clay stopped some sports, but that wasn't,
And please pull the mic down good there.
that wasn't due to, that was issues with the parents and the way things were going. That wasn't issues with people stepping down. We'd already been practicing fall ball for the season. Jarrett was well aware of that. He was practicing his teams on Wednesday and Sunday. Kind of just waiting on a date for registration to open. So we had lots of parents, waiting and waiting, calling, asking, hey, when are we going to sign up? And then all of a sudden, after one team had been practicing for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? 3. It's, we don't have fall ball now. So, and they didn't get the response they were looking for. Obviously, I think everybody has the email they received back. A couple of the parents from the fall ball team are here. So, there's a plan in place. I spoke to Hagan earlier about it. He's on board to run it. Registration, $95, you're just gonna get a shirt. There's tournaments that are rec ball tournaments that the kids can play in. Roughly, after you buy a shirt and a hat, you'll have about $800 left from the program. They can play 3 tournaments, which gives them roughly 12 games. T-ball's in-house. You have 4 or 5 teams, they play each other. Not saying that you're gonna have the numbers for 5 teams, but you'll at least have the numbers for 2. It basically prepares the kids for spring ball. These kids they're going up in age groups. When it comes around, you have a T-baller going to 5'6", and that's a big jump for these kids. So it's hard to miss out on a season for, without even an answer. I understand there's not a leader right now, but there's plenty of people to step up and say, hey, we'll help. And Jarrett and Hagan, Jarrett was over the program last year, so he knows how it runs. You got anything?
Hey, how you doing? My name's Sam Miller. You need my address too?
Yes, please.
Oh, it's 6330 Tyler Loop Road, Pinson, Alabama. So I'm one of the coaches at the park. Okay, I've been coaching here for about 7 years. And I've been helping when Matt was here. I've been helping him. Basically I was like the liaison, helping with the park, because I am the face that the parents know, the kids know. So I attend the meetings for football. I'm the one step up to the meetings. I always notify the park. Matt or Jared or Hagan, when there's, excuse my voice wrong, I get nervous when I'm talking to adults, but I'm easy with kids. But I always came to Matt if I ever had an idea. Parents come to me with ideas. I always come to them about anything. If we have meetings, I get one of the park members or the staff to come in with the meetings. But like she was saying with T-ball, with the fall ball, I've been mentioning fall ball since spring. I mentioned it to Jared. I mentioned it to everybody that's on staff at the park knows about it. So actually sitting down with Jared, talking to him about it, we had a game plan. For the T-ball, we had a registration date, an end date. We talked about price. We talked about everything. So then it comes to my attention that I never met Eric. I don't know who Eric is. If he came right now and said hey to me, I don't know who he is. I never laid eyes on him. So it came to my attention that Eric basically, from my knowledge, didn't want to deal with it at the time because he didn't know nothing about it. So instead of, I guess, having a meeting and sit down and say, hey, You know what, Sam? What's going on with the T-ball or the fall ball? What did you and Jared discuss? From my knowledge, he just ripped it apart and just said, we're not going to do it. We're going to wait. And I'm like, that's not right, because we had a game plan. I had parents, some kids that didn't play football. They just only want to do baseball. That's all they love. We've been practicing for 3 weeks. I got the okay to use the fields, everything. Then it was just ripped apart. Kids, we lost some kids. They went to another park, which that's what I don't want. I don't want our Pinson kids going to other parts and we lose them. You know, nowadays in high school, kids are transferring out. So, and it starts from our youth program, because if they don't like it there, they go to another part, they'll end up probably going to their school too. We lost a couple of kids now from Pinson that went to Clay. Stud players, and we don't want that for the future. So, but my argument is, why didn't you just have a meeting with us? You just killed it, and I felt like you just don't want to deal with it. You know, and and this was told to me from Jared and Hagan that he didn't want to deal with it. You got the email stating that he asked them questions of how many teams in it. At the time, we didn't know. We were still trying to get the registrations going. And it was a perfect deadline to get registration going, to get teams. My team was just only doing tournaments. Simple. $95, shirt, hat. We get our own pants. Rec tournaments. It wasn't no travel ball, nothing like that. It's rec all-star tournaments. That's it. So, and that's my thing. I just feel like it was wrong to rip that away from these kids. Like that, you know. And these kids was looking forward to this. That's all they like is baseball. That's all they want to do is baseball, nothing else. You took it from them. T-ball was a success. Then we had like 4 or 5 teams in it. These kids can't play no other sport but T-ball right now. So, and I feel like he just took that opportunity away. And that's why I wanted to come and speak, so y'all can just hear my voice. I'm saying, like I said, I worked with the park. Me and Matt had an understanding, like I said, and it was easier for him, because like I said, I ain't sound the city, which I do represent our city to the fullest. You know, we don't go, you don't hear nothing bad about the park. We don't go acting crazy. It's good, you know. But I just feel like it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair, and parents was upset about it. Parents was coming to me, and I'm not gonna lie, I got upset about it. I wanted to leave too, because I'm like, if it's gonna be like this from here on out, why do I want to be a part of this park? You know, if you're just gonna rip stuff away because you feel like you don't want to deal with it or it's too much for you, instead of just asking the questions, you just make a rational decision and just say, no, we're not going to have it. That's not right. You know, so that's why I want to come up and just say all that, get that off my chest so y'all can hear it. So, which I still got parents saying, you know, if it is reinstated, fall ball can go along, parents are still willing to do it. You know, I done had some parents say if it is, they willing to come back. But at this point, they're not liking how it's going. So.
I'm gonna add, we've worked really hard the past several years on this program. Amber's also a part. We've went from where people didn't want us to come play in their cities to where now they're calling us for games constantly. We've built a program. We worked side by side with Matt, and I understand Matt's gone, I get that, but we had a game plan, a good relationship, and I get the position y'all are in that there's nobody to fill those shoes. But there is still Jarrett Hagan who knew game plans. And, you know, you don't just take something away without, you know, researching it, like why. You have, like he said, we're trying to bridge the gap with the schools. This year we've been very successful with football and cheer, and we don't want to waste that. Like all our time that we've poured into it, into these kids are like our own kids. And just to have to look at them and say, well, sorry, you can't play. Chelsea's son didn't play football because he wanted to work on his baseball skills for the spring. He wants to catch again, and he needs some extra work. Great baseball player, but that was his goal, and it was too late to sign up for football. So now he's not doing anything at home, sitting around playing video games. How do you explain that to a kid? I mean, you know, so that's our point on it. So. Anybody else got anything from the park? Audrey?
All right, my name's Audrey Nichols. My address is 7752 Old Bradford Road in Pinson, Alabama, 35126. So I have a boy that's been playing for Pinson Parks for about, about 4 or 5 years now. He's played every sport. He's played football, baseball, basketball, every single sport. And so yes, he did want to play fall ball this year, but of course it was ripped away. I had personally, got all of our parents together and typed up a nice email, sent it to Eric, got a response back that was not, you know, really didn't give no answers, just that we're not doing it. And pretty much, yeah, was talking about how Matt didn't give, I guess, information and things like that. So really didn't get nowhere with that. But in my personal opinion, like, we pay a lot of money for our kids to play at the park. So I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, so like football, they went up on registration this year. So it was what, $375? Oh, $275, which before it wasn't that much. But then now there's still problems where money's not being dispersed for homecoming and things like that. But when we paid our registration, that was what was told would be given to us, as far as like, it would include homecoming fees and all that. Baseball, for example, we pay for extra stuff, but I just feel like the fall ball being ripped away was just ridiculous. And the kids want to play, and like they said, this does go like to stay in Pinson, and it's running a lot of people off, like to want to go to other parks, move out of Pinson, and it's sad. I graduated from Pinson. I love Pinson, but yeah, that's me.
To re-elaborate what she said earlier about teams not wanting to play us, I have had coaches tell me, we did not want to play Pinson. Pinson has a bad rep. They said the only reason they playing us is because of my personality and what I bring to Pinson. The face, even, y'all know Rick from Springville, he told me that. Brandon from Asheville, they told me that. They did not want to put Pinson on their schedule, period. They said Pinson has a bad rep with their youth, but when they found out I was helping with the city and helping with this youth program, they was like, I know your personality, Sam. I know where you come from. I know what you bring to the table. And ever since then, we've been having a successful year. We haven't had no problems. But like I said, I just think it's not right that you just rip it from these kids and you don't find out the facts or talk to nobody about it. You just come and just say it's gone. I would have felt better if you would have just took us through, and we do a lot. I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid for this. I work every day just like everybody else. I'm tired. I got to come home with my kids, help with homework. But I love this park. My kids going through this park. They played. One of my kids is a junior now at Pinson High School. My daughter came through the park. She's an 8th grader in middle school. They both run track for the school. One plays volleyball. And I got twins that's coming through this park. I got a passion for this. And it really, really tore. I looked at it different when it was ripped. It really stuck me in the heart because I'm like, I fight for these kids. I treat every kid if there was mine on this field, from the girls to the boys. You know, and like I said, and it really hit me different when you just ripped it apart and you didn't. I would have been more respectful if you would just set me down and set us down and be like, look, if you just want to run it city ran, I understand that, but you should have set us down and be like, look, we're going a different route. I get it, what y'all did, I appreciate it. Y'all really put y'all sweat and tears into this. You know, y'all out here for the passion, because like I said, we don't get paid for this. You know, the city does, but we don't. But we do it out the love of it. But for you just come in, don't even meet with us and just say, the heck with us. You know, I don't care what they did. They're not the city of Pinson. They're not on staff. You know, they're not on staff. And then you just sit there and just say, forget it. The city's going to run it now, but we're not going to do it. Like I said, that hits different for me. Because like I said, I don't get paid for this. I do it for the passion, the love of this sport, the love of Pinson, to represent this city to the fullest. You know, but for you to just come in and just rip it away like that, and you know, like I said, and it goes from not even just the fall ball stuff. You know, it's just different that way. And like I said, it's not right. And that's why I wanted to come up here and speak my piece for it, because it's not right. You know.
Sam, we appreciate your,
Hey,
all
I
your.
want to add one thing on that. I did
Okay.
meet with Eric over football and cheer, and that's how it got brought up about fall ball. I mentioned, when is registration going to open? So that's, and I think what he's touching on is, you know, I did make the remark to Eric, you know, well, we're prepared to step aside, and his remark back to me was, well, I don't take good to threats. And I said, well, it's not a threat. We're busting our tails for free for these kids.
When you
So-
met with him, did y'all present that game plan that y'all were talking about for registration with the
He
dates
didn't
and
even
all?
give me the option. He looked at me when I said something about fall ball and said, we're not doing fall ball. I said, well, they've been practicing for 3 weeks. He looked at the boys. I called Jarrett and Hagan the boys, and everybody just kind of sat there, and I looked over at Jarrett and I said, I mean, they've been practicing. And I think at that point, maybe it just caught him off guard, or maybe it was like, whoa, what's going on? But there was never even any, well, let's talk about it. You know, it was, no, So, and I did ask Eric, when are you coming to talk to the parents to tell them that? And there's yet to be a meeting with Eric with the park, so.
Did you reach out to the mayor?
I did, and I didn't get a response. So then I reached out to Dawn Tanner, who got me in touch with Robbie, so.
Is Eric over the park?
Yeah, we'll
We'll
give him a chance here in a second.
We'll explain.
Okay.
We'll explain.
I'm trying to figure that out too.
We really appreciate you guys coming and speaking and sharing with us, so kind of get the background information. I know y'all sent us a letter and everything, but I want to give y'all a chance before we took this up here on the thing. Eric, do you feel comfortable in talking about this? So I have spoken with Eric, and as in most situations, communication can be, is on the giving and the receiving end, and sometimes, things can get lost and confused. And so I will say that Eric is as myself. He loves this city very much. He has given a lot of his time, energy, and effort in keeping this place together. We've been going through some very difficult times with the mayor's illness. We owe a lot to Eric and the work that he's done to try to do this. Regrettably, Matt, got a different job and moved on. We are shorthanded around here, and another major responsibility suddenly landed in Eric's lap. And again, I just want to thank Eric for the work that he does and here. And but I know that this is a big tangle and whatever. But I do. If you want to say anything, as far as for explaining anything they said, as far as your perspective, and then to get and we may want to get some dialogue there with them. Your thoughts about the feasibility of being able to do some or none or all of potentially cranking this thing back up under these parameters that they've outlined here. So I'll shut up.
I'm Eric Winfrey, the Operations Director for the City of Pinson. As my job description says, I have oversight over Public Works, Park and Rec, the library, and a lot of other city functions. When Matt resigned, there was a vacuum, a big vacuum. There was no one to fill that spot except for Jared and Hagan. And as you characterized it, the boys were not prepared to take over that responsibility. So,
And to clarify, Eric, we don't mean that disrespectful to those young men. They're in their 20s.
I'm just repeating one of the quotes.
No, I understand.
I can continue. Yeah. They're great. I love those guys. I think they are
We older
fantastic.
folks tend to see anybody that's a lot younger than us
Thank you,
as the
thank you.
boys. So again, these are fine young
Absolutely.
adults.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think they're both upstanding. I think that they're a great asset to the Park and Rec Department and that we can build.
They're from our community too. Right?
Absolutely. They grew up in Pinson, went to school to Pinson. So there was no one to take the reins, okay? And we didn't know what to do. So as, just oversight, I got Matt to produce all the contacts, the information that we might need, everything, because we didn't have that when the last Park and Rec director left. So he was very cooperative. I had a great working relationship with Matt. I applaud his movement, everything. So I sat with those two guys and said, hey, okay, now, look, I'm just trying to give you some administrative oversight. You guys got to run the program. So where do we stand? What are we doing? Where we stand? Why are we doing fall ball? Are we doing T-ball? I knew we did T-ball last year. I knew we did it, and there's been no registration. There's been no signs put up, no notice. We didn't have any of that in place. And they told me no. Jarrett's words were no. We're not doing T-ball, and starts telling me about this Sam's team. And I said, okay. So how are we going to handle it? He said, well, I've got to find games, and we've got to have a uniform, and I said, well, how much does it cost? And if you'll look at the email, you'll see the questions that I asked, because all I did was collect information. I'm an administrator. I'm not a Park and Rec director. And I made my decision based off the information that he gave me, because Jarrett assumed, quote, this lead role in this aspect of the Park and Rec department, that's fine. That's what I want them to. So,
You
as
haven't
we-
cloned yourself yet, Eric?
no, it's okay. So I have given you guys the breakdown of the monies that were brought in, the monies that have been allocated. Every penny has been allocated as it should have. I told Ms. Pippin that we're talking about football right now because, ma'am, just let me finish. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really do. I really do. So, as I collected all this information, the ladies up front, we're changing software, as you know. We're changing Park and Rec software. So, Jackie Williams has been instrumental in working with me to get this software implemented, get it brought up to speed, and we inherit the cheerleading and the football registration. So, before Matt left, he created a PO to buy cheer uniforms, and there was no PO. I can't testify to the PO for, and it probably was. It could have been. I don't have that in front of me, but the football uniforms, the football packages, So that was fine. That's all supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to transpire. But then Jarrett came and needed another PO, and he goes to the assistant, the clerk, the assistant up front, the receptionist, and asked her to help him make a PO. And she didn't know how because she doesn't make POs. And so it was brought to my attention. I went, wait a minute, what's going on here? Show me this. So that's when all this, we didn't have all the documentation in place. I start getting more gory details, if you want to call it that, about how this has transpired. And this is before I ever met with her and before I ever met with Ms. Pittman. So I started asking all these questions. I said, hey, you don't have this authority. Wait a minute. Let me see what we're buying. These orders were made from her for us to pay. They weren't made through the city. And that's where the issue, well, she arranged for it to be made, and she gave it to Jared, and Jared transferred it. But they were all taxed at $300 and $400 that we didn't, and we're tax-free. So, in other words, what I was trying to teach him was that, hey, every one of these has to be run through the city and initiated through us because we're a tax-exempt organization. Everything has to be run, initiated from us. Okay, so as we move forward, I start asking the questions, and if you'll look down that email list, because I printed it out for him, and I don't know what the email she's referring to about the money, but everything's been allocated exactly as Matt had promised, and I told her it would. There's been no short change.
And that's what?
That's exactly what that is there. That's the funds. And then the emails behind it, you see the other emails. And I asked these guys those questions. How many teams, are we playing T-ball? No. So.
This was our staff that you
This is
had
our staff.
requested,
I'm
not the-
talking to
not the
Jared
folks.
Hagan. And again, we could go through all these gory details, and I really don't want to air out the laundry that we have got, that I have dealt with the other, the two staff members. And they're great guys. Listen to me. We should build this department around those two men. Those two young men are actually well suited for this, particularly Hagan. Okay, and he is the leader of the two. And I love Jared. Jared's a great guy. But there's been some just not knowing the process. We have a certain, we have to establish ourselves. We have to conduct ourselves and conduct our finances in a certain way because we're audited every year. We just got through talking about this, and he has no idea how that's supposed to happen. Right. So I can't fault him. They were never trained. They were never shown. They were never taught prior. And listen, we're a small staff, a small city, and we're trying to do the best we can. So all that being said, all I did was step in and try to give some oversight to correct some wrongs. As far as shutting a program down, they told me we can't do it. Those two staff members. All I did was take the information and make that assumption. I'm a facts guy. I don't, none of this is about emotion. I have 5 children They all went through the youth sports program. I have kids that played college soccer. I played soccer. My kids played soccer all their life. I'm well aware of how all this works and very adept and passionate about children. I love children. But to say that we shut it down just because we wanted to shut it down is wrong. We're not prepared to run that. If you want to pass that resolution, you go right ahead, but you need to pass funding and you need to pass a resource to run it. Now, we are not a parent-run organization. Our Parks and Rec Department was set up to be run by the city of Pinson, not a parent organization. So keep that in mind that, we can't do this without volunteers. Absolutely, absolutely correct. I appreciate everything they do. But to say that we just to arbitrarily say, you're going to do it, I just need the resources, and if you've got a solution to how it's going to be done, then no problem. But really, the whole situation was I collected the facts. We had issues with registrations not being recorded correctly, not being paid, blah, blah, blah. We got all that rectified. Every bit of that was rectified. And the money that was allocated that he promised, Matt did, that the extra money they paid is all going to homecoming. There's money set aside plenty of money set aside for the end of the year. But as far as baseball, I didn't see how we could do fall ball. Those guys we need a fresh start. We were left behind. We don't know what to do. We want to start with basketball. It was their decision. Honestly,
Thank you, Eric.
Honestly, I don't care if they play or not. I don't. So be it.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
So, I think that what we have here is, again, when a vacuum occurs, that we had dedicated coaches and parents that, were wanting to fill in the gap to be able to continue the sports. Unfortunately, this city government thing is a lot more complicated than, folks getting together, and we have a leadership vacuum, that occurred there, and some confusion. Obviously, we've heard two different versions here by the young men that are on our staff, is that they were telling the parents and coaches that they were good for fall ball, but they're telling our operations director that they can't do it. So that puts both sides in a real quandary here. It's not a surprise that we're here tonight, listening to this because, something happened. Staff's not here, the mayor's not here, so that, we could ask him, as to how that might have happened. But I don't know about the feasibility again, and Eric, as he concluded, he brought up the, what I consider to be the really big question, and that is that if we were to have a program, if this council said, hey, yeah, we want to do a program, what would we have to do at this particular time? So obviously, we would have to crank up and receive the funds, to be able to, from the parents, to actually register. So we'd have to have the registration system going. I have no idea whether or not how long that takes and what all that requires to get going. I don't know how the new software is working out. We heard a lot of horror stories about the old software, but I don't know how long that takes, and we do have that process that needs to be done. I don't know how long it takes to order uniforms and that sort of thing. And then we did discuss the issue with scheduling games. It sounds like you guys have got okay, so that's the QR code there where they can go and. It's up and running. Excellent, excellent. So the new system is much better. It allows, Eric, I think I'm correct in saying it allows people to register their child for a sport and make the payments and everything right there, right online. It's much more modern than the, and it actually works, unlike the one that Tyler tried to get us to do, right?
Yeah, what this is we changed from the Tyler Park and Rec software to what's called Civic Rec.
Okay.
Tyler Park and Rec was not mobile friendly. Most people want to do this from their phone, okay? We also could not accept credit card payments through that software, and it would not translate to our our accounting software, the ERP side.
Correct.
Okay? So this has all been rectified. We also, as far as the auditors go, cash is a no-no. So as we charge to go in football games, the only way they could do it was through cash. We had no checks and balance. There was no, yes, we gave it out a ticket, but you know how it's a tear ticket. So immediately we were trying to incorporate a way to do this cashless, and take cash. Of course, some people can't. You understand that. But we had a way to record electronically so that when he looked at the results that he said, oh, you were supposed to have this and you did have this, okay? Now, we also purchased a QR code so for the changeover. They scan this, takes them directly to the site. I'll leave you guys one. We put it on all our signs, we put it on the website, we put it on and it directs you to the Civic Rec side. You rent facilities, you register for sports, everything can be done from that site. You can pay for it. Also, what we didn't have with TPAR was we were not able to set up a payment plan. And what happened, that we have some outstanding debts from baseball last year,
This
from
is
football,
back in the spring?
from basketball of last year, yes,
Okay.
that were either not paid or they're not been rectified. So it's really a quandary that we've been dealing with, Jackie and I, and trying to figure out. And it's almost like it's a loss, I mean, we really can't go back and track that. But with this, if a parent cannot afford to pay it all at once, they put a card on file, and those payments can be made, and it has to be paid before the uniforms are ordered or before anything starts. There will be no, we don't have payment before a uniform is ordered or before a kid starts playing. All that's been done. That to say that, with the fall ball and the T-ball, none of this had been even put in motion with the old software to start a registration, to advertise it. So when I ask about it's completely okay to do it. It really is. It is. If you've got a way to run it. But I'm not the park and rec director, and I work a lot of hours for you guys already. I won't be doing that at night, too.
Oh,
So,
you didn't get the memo? You are the parking lot.
please. Look, all I tried to do was give them guidance, okay? And when they fed me the information, that's what happened. But I want to show you this. This is, you guys check it out. Go to our website. If you click on facilities or you click on park and rec, it'll direct you to the new site. You'll be able to navigate through it. You create an account. Everyone creates an account just like everything else you do.
That's good.
But it's much more user-friendly, and it's a mobile device as well. So we're putting this all out in the parks and the different places so
Okay,
that we can.
So, Eric, I posed a few questions there on the thing. I wish that we'd have had our other staff members here tonight, so perhaps they could answer these questions as far as, what the feasibility there is
Well,
for
I've
being able
spoken
to
with
pull
Hagan.
this off.
I'll elaborate on it.
Okay.
So
you know his
after
feasibility?
this, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you need me to stop?
No.
Yes, I was gonna say yes. I would be open to seeing the plan that you guys have for registration, the plan that you said you had, Sam, that y'all made with Jared, because this resolution, while it is a great idea, it still gives the same authority that whoever is the acting person at the time decides whether you have it or not. So I want to see the plan, and once I see that plan, and we can have an internal meeting with Jared and Hagan to see, y'all told, somebody saying you said it wasn't feasible, the parents are saying that you said that it was feasible. What's the middle ground, and how fast can we get it for the kids to get back on the field? But I think that's going to be our best solution.
One of the questions that I asked at the start was, are we having that's the first thing I asked, is what do we have to plan for? What are we doing? Where are we at? Where are we going? And Jared said he's nervous because I'm asking questions, number one. He didn't have the answers, as you can tell from the email. And so I gave him time. I said, I need you to put everything together. You've got a week. I need to know all this back in. Now, since all this is, come to a head, let's just say, or a front, after the meeting that I said, the phone conversation I had with you, the 2.5 hours that I had to discuss this, I sat down this morning immediately called him in my office. I said, now, let's go back over this one more time. Because I understand that Mr. Roberts reached out to the former director, and he said, yes, we were planning on having T-ball. And I looked at the two and said, y'all, I said, you mean to tell me you threw me under this bus and you told me not all the information that I needed? I asked you for information. I made my assumption from the information I gathered. And they both said, well, Hagan said, he did it. But the problem is, I didn't know. And so the assumptions and the determinations that I made were based on the information that I was given. I'm an administrator. I'm not going to change that. But I think that it could be happen. T-ball could very well easily happen. But remember this, we still have to organize it. It still has to have a time frame. This is the end of September. So I know that, and all that was presented to us, to me, was the one team, the one travel team play tournaments. That was it, that we weren't doing T-ball. So,
But we understand, though, that's a semantic thing here. It's
yes,
not really,
it is. It is. It is.
It's not.
Yes.
It's actually a more traditional team, however, they would only
Play in tournaments
which
for travel.
which keeps the scheduling a lot simple.
Yes. Yeah.
There on that. So it's not your traditional.
And they had a
travel
plan. They had, they know how to approach that. They, particularly Hagan, and he's a very dynamic, strong young man that I firmly believe that we can build that department around both of them, but particularly Hagan. And I'm just going to say it like it is.
Okay,
But,
so
Thank you.
Oh, Brad.
I would like to ask a question. Mr. Miller. Yes, sir. I've been, come on up to the mic, because I think people are going to want to hear this. I've been a part of the park program here in Pinson for many years. My daughter has since gone off to college, still playing ball. I've been a part of travel organizations, so I know how this runs. We are, as Eric mentioned, we are into September. What are the dates for your, I know registration was kind of scheduled for August, I believe it was mentioned.
Yeah, it was August. It was going to be it was starting in August. It was going to be the month of August, and then we only had that month. That was the strict deadline. If you didn't have your payment or registration by then, you couldn't sign up or have the team.
Okay, so that was a city.
Yeah, that's what
deadline, right?
Yeah, that was a city deadline for.
But what does your scheduling look like as far as games?
So actually, with games, it leads out to the tournaments actually go out. The USSS rec tournaments go out to like November.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes all the way out to November.
So I think that's good enough information for me to make this statement. So would it be fair to say that, and I agree with Councilor Irvin, I don't think the resolution is going to give us, as it's worded anyway, is going to give you what you need. And believe me, I've been where you are. I've run those programs as a youth organization, not a city-run organization, and it is very difficult. It's difficult to deal with the parents you have to deal with. Trust me, I know. It's not an easy thing. But understand, we do, as a city, have obligations and legalities and liabilities that we have to address. Would it be safe to say, from your scheduling, that if you give us 2 weeks?
Yeah, a week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks to address this internally, that we could come back?
So what I was thinking in terms of, so we got a couple of different ways. One is to basically have the council insist that we have the program. I don't think that's fair to insist on something when they're down a director, okay, which is also a working person there on the job. We don't know what the existing staff, what their workload is there on that. I'm thinking more along the lines of perhaps a will of the council type scenario. In other words, if it's possible, and the staff may come back and say, and they're going to give us all these reasons why in the world they can't do it because they're already working 50 hours a week or something.
With Jared, they're going to say it. I know they are. They're going to come back and say it can't be done because they feel like it's too late right now.
Is that based on the fact that
But in the-
Because they're already loaded up with, when we're in the middle of football and everything and all, so is it because of that, or is it because
No, I
they don't
think it's
think you
just
can get
because of the
uniforms in
fact that,
time, or
no, I
what?
think it's just for the fact that basically Eric shut it down and they feel like they're gonna be, I guess, cramming, which we had everything under control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, and to defend them for a little bit with Eric, Jared and Hagan for what he was saying, the thing is, they came to him about it. He was asking them questions like how many, and this was brought to me from them too, how many teams are going to be in this? We don't know. We got to get registered first. They're still registering their teams too. How many teams are we going to have? We don't know until we register. That was the questions asked from Eric, asked to Hagan and Jared. So then they said when they was like, we don't know, because we don't know until we register and then we contact these other parks. That's how it was ran. He just completely said, well, since y'all don't know, we're not going to do it.
Well, again, you understand this didn't happen in a vacuum because they're
Yeah.
short of people, and, you know, it's,
In which-
we don't want to waste a
and I
bunch
get
of
they
time
were
trying to
short-
put together a
and I get they
program
were
and
short
find out
of
there's
people,
only
but
5
that's
kids.
why. But we were helping them too. Like I said, as the parents and just volunteering to help. And like I said, and I know a lot of these parts. I know how it was ran. So that's why, and I was helping them too. Like I said, that's why stuff was running easily with us, because I would go and I would contact and I would get Matt and I would tell Matt, look, I talked to this park, I talked to this park. This is when this has happened. This is when the meetings are happening. This is teams. This is what we need to do. I notified Matt on everything. Same thing I did with Jared now. They knew the system.
But we understand that, but the issue though is that now I mean, as we've all understand, there's not a whole lot,
Lot of time.
we're in the
Yeah,
fall.
a lot of- we're in the
okay?
fall right now.
And so, you know,
Yeah, like I said, tournaments are open anytime. Like I said, it goes out to
But
November.
what about the
There's
leg-
not just like 3 tournaments in the whole city that they can go to. There's multiple tournaments.
Yeah, there's
across-
multiple. Yeah, it's like
across the area.
across the way. Yeah, from
It's just a matter of having someone who understands the environment that can work with you guys. I mean, I'm just going to say it. There is the success of a program like this is in large part due to the volunteers. We can't staff coaches and referees and all that stuff. There's no way we can do that. So the success of those programs is largely due to the parents and volunteers that donate their time, their finances, and moral support to the kids and all that stuff. And I am 100%, you know, like I said, my kid came up through these parks, and she's still playing ball a lot because of what she experienced in these programs. I don't want to deny kids a program, but we are a city-run park.
Yeah.
And we are more than willing to work with the parents to organize
That's right.
and to get your assistance and your input, I believe. But I would ask that you please give us a little bit of time to speak internally with our staff and council, and let us come up and share with us your plan, please.
Okay, I will.
Because, you know, I got a job outside of this,
Yeah.
and I don't want another one. So I would like to see your plan, as Councilor Irvin mentioned, so we can come up with, I mean, it just makes sense that we discuss this, and you do have time. The deadline for the registration was a city mandated deadline, so it's not something that is affecting their play, but we do have to get that started. So we just need a little time.
Okay.
And I feel like we're all more than willing to work with you to make this happen, but as Councilor Roberts
I
has
understand.
mentioned, we are short-staffed and we have to
Yeah,
fix
I
that.
understand.
And, you know, Eric spends a lot of time up here, and he does a lot of things for us. He organizes things, he keeps the wheels on the bus, if you will. So I don't want to diminish his involvement, but adding one more thing onto him is not going to be a positive for your group nor the city. So I want to make sure that we give you the attention that you need, but not overcommit ourselves.
I think that's, yeah, I think that's really where we stand on that particular aspect. Eric, you said you spoke with the young men again this morning, or today. Did they give you any feedback about whether or not they felt like that it was something that if we wanted to step back up, that they'd be able to get I don't know who actually has to enter the registration information to get the website up and going, and they would be able to work
So-
with these folks as far as procuring the uniforms and that sort of thing, so.
As a short term, till we hire a director, we sort through the application process and determine who might be the best fit for our city, because we are not Birmingham, we are not Trustful, we are a small city that has a program that needs attention, and we need somebody that fits the program. The idea was to have an administrator or a park and rec assistant that helped handle all the paperwork, that did all the handled the Facebook and the website postings and the ordering the uniforms and helping with registration. Speaking with those young men this morning, Hagan absolutely thought we could pull T-ball together, and if this is the only team, he seems to think that we can put it together. Now, with that being said, we have to have some sort of structure set there. I feel like that young man's not compensated enough to be able to administer that. Of course, and I'm not going to leave him hanging out there by himself. You understand what I'm talking about. But he's actually hired as an assistant at the moment. Jared was hired as the athletic director. And some of this miscommunication and lack of information stemmed through the athletic director, not the Hagan. He's a very strong young man. And I feel very comfortable and confident in his ability and his leadership. Now, they're both very young, and they have a lot to learn that mentors like this can lead and guide them. Again, and I'm pointing to him, not me, and I'm pointing to Randy. But as an administrator, I'm just trying to make sure that we're following the rules, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
No.
I don't want to, when I say I don't care if they play or not, I didn't shut this down because it was a detriment. I can't do it, and so these young men didn't have the answers and didn't have the solution. Now, they may have a solution. They may have a great plan, but it's not a parent-run organization. We were charged to do this. So when they weren't prepared, the only thing I could tell you was that I said, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe we should take a breath here and move to basketball and start afresh. And that was the plan.
No.
Until this came up. So
I understand. What
Thank
what I'm hearing is it sounds like the staff is at least willing to give it a try. These folks seem like they're willing to give it a try. It's you guys call as to whether or not you think we should even take a vote, or do we trust the staff to move forward? Do we change the vote to say something about the council would desires that the staff do everything within their power to try to make it happen if at all possible, or do we?
Well, the resolution doesn't make sense in my mind. Number one, as it's worded, it's a little vague in responsibility.
We can modify it right
But
now
number
if we
two,
need that.
I don't think it's our responsibility to do that. I think it is our responsibility to work with the staff and come up with that plan, not as a council. We're creating policy, not mandating programs. That's our.
Technically,
that's
that would be a
government.
policy, is that we would have a policy
101.
toward having this program, I guess is basically. John?
I just want to say, that's basically what this resolution was for, so we could get to talking about this. If we hadn't done this resolution, we wouldn't even been talking about this. So the point was to get the resolution out here to see if there's something that we can do now or later or what or when. So it's not a yes or no basically on the resolution, just whether or not it's going to determine whether we do one or don't do it. We wanted information.
Yeah, this was the process by which to get it before the council, so that it would give the staff and the community the chance to be able to express.
And what
their
time
desires.
frame the 2 weeks, y'all could work with 2 weeks? You could?
2 weeks is fine.
I mean, I'm all for working with the staff. I mean,
What we had discussed, me and Jared, what we discussed in the game plan, I'd have that for y'all as well.
if all of our emails are on the website, if you'll get that to us, I think that'll be the best solution so that we can see how feasible it is, talking internally.
yeah, and I've talked to Miss Pippin and heard her and seen what she's had laid out. let me tell you, they've got it together. They know what they're doing. So I say we'll work with us. We want it for you guys. I've been in your shoes, I know. So, and I'm all for helping you get this program going for the kids.
If you want to know how that ball stuff works, Miss Kirkland, one of her sons played Major League Baseball.
I've sit on many
different environment. I'm sure if we can pay Mr. Miller what he's getting paid.
Okay,
So
there was a motion and a second. Is there a willingness to table this motion then?
I would, I'm forgetting my Robert's Rules of Order, but I think a motion to rescind.
Well, we haven't voted it in yet, so I mean, we can just table it and basically it just holds back.
Well, so tabling the resolution means we have to bring it back up at some point.
Well, or it could be withdrawn later, but.
And I think it should be withdrawn
Well,
and brought back up later.
that would be up to Mr. Churchill.
Sure, yes, that's my recommendation.
Everyone fits their issue along with ours. Ever what you think is best. I don't.
John, do you have a problem with?
I don't have a problem with-
pulling your motion?
No.
Is there any objection to pulling the motion?
No,
Requires a
if
second.
that'll make it work, let's get it fixed.
You second the fact that we pull it?
I second.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull that motion, and so that way we won't have to put it on the, I know the clerk will enjoy not having to put it back on the agenda, hopefully because the kids will be playing ball, but, and things will be
Yes.
worked out. But if not, and things don't go well, we will certainly come back and address it again. So
In 2 weeks, we'll address it again if we have to.
we do really appreciate everyone, like I say, staff, volunteers, everyone for what they do up there to make that park successful.
Point of order.
Yes.
We need to vote on the withdrawal of the motion.
We do?
We do.
Okay, well,
have a
Madam,
motion and a second.
all in favor of withdrawing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. You got my closing comments before the vote, so.
We have to reinstate the rule.
All right, next is a first reading for a resolution on grants from the fire districts. Glenda, I believe you.
You're right.
This is just a first reading here on that, so.
Let me see what I did with it. Oh, here it is. Yes, it's whereas the city of Pinson is served by 3 independent fire districts, Centerpoint Fire District, Palmerdale Fire District, and Glenwood Fire District. And whereas the city of Pinson recognizes these districts for their past excellence and ongoing and interdepartmental cooperation with providing services to all our citizens and visitors. You want me to keep reading it?
Well, we'll have a copy available, I think, for folks. Everybody up here at the dais has got a copy there on the thing, but basically, is there a second?
There doesn't need, it just needs to be offered.
No, the only reason why I was doing that was not so we'd move forward. I was going to lay it on the table as soon as we did a motion in a second. I wanted to make sure that, again, this was, I mentioned this in the pre-council meeting. Unfortunately, this resolution, I desired to put it on the agenda in the past. The mayor has not, he's unwilling to put my motions now, my resolutions, he's unwilling to put them on the agenda, and so this is clogging up the works. Obviously, we need to know what in the world's going on around here. We need to, we do have a 48-hour rule in place for folks to be able to see these things. Unfortunately, by his imaginary veto power, then he has basically thwarted this. So it was my desire to be able to make sure that the council fully was aware of what was going on and that we would have a motion and a second with regard to this resolution, and then it would end the discussion, because again, it is just a first reading.
If it's just a first reading, then you just offer it as a first reading. You don't need a motion and a second.
Normally, I would agree, but like I say, in this particular case, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is very unusual, brought on by the mayor. Is there a second?
point of order.
Go ahead.
As a first reading, and again, I'm struggling to recall my Robert's Rules of Order, but as a first reading, it is just offered for just that. If you intend to take action on it, then it's not a first reading.
Well,
It is a motion.
It didn't
that
make it
requires-
onto the agenda. That was the reason why I wanted to make sure that it was
Understood.
a little more
Understood.
extra seal on it, so to speak.
Understood. If it is being offered for action, then it is a motion that requires a second and requires unanimous consent because of
That's
the
correct.
timing.
That's correct.
Then we get to discuss,
And the
and
dollar amounts that we're
then
talking
we
about.
get to vote. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Again, I call, is there someone that would like to second this? I appreciate what you said, but. Okay. I hope that everyone looks forward to seeing this back on the agenda next time. I do not, if I have to take legal action or whatever, I will do whatever is necessary to have my things, and I would do the same thing for anyone else up here. If you've got something that you want to bring to this body during our meetings, you're entitled to do it. You were elected to be able to do that. Again, you may be in a case where there's only one person that goes along, and it may be yourself. That's fine. But we're not going to have a situation here where someone basically decides whether or not, if they like it, it gets discussed. If they don't, it gets shoved into the back room, so.
I will say this about, because I know what this is about, because you and I have had a couple
Right.
of conversations regarding it on the budget. I am in favor of supporting our fire departments. Just the timing of this is, I think it's, I understand your concern and completely understand where that's coming from. But I think we need time to digest this.
Yeah, that's why it's
ahead
the
of
first
time.
reading.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
Cool. Next, I've got there is a resolution concerning the election of the mayor pro tem.
And I would like to make a motion to nominate Robbie Roberts as mayor pro tem.
I was going to elaborate, but is there a second?
Doesn't the motion have to be to open the nomination first, and then we make it? think
I
we
just
went
read
out
the
with-
thing here that was presented out here, so,
Okay.
and I'll explain again in a second, but is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, so basically, the mayor pro tem is not a job that the voters select. The voters have elected the mayor as in his individual position, and then the city council folks, of which I serve as one of those. I'm not special in any regard. The only way that I can have been previously able to serve as the mayor pro tem, and John has served as mayor pro tem, and we even have Ms. Tanner here tonight. We're glad to see you here. She served as mayor pro tem also in the past. Is at the will of the council. And so basically, I serve at the will of the council, and council can change the mayor pro tem at any time. I don't believe there's anything locked in. What we traditionally have done since I've been on the council has been to split the job into the first half of our elected terms and then the second half of our elected terms. Ms. Tanner was elected to serve the first 2 years of our current term, and then she left a little early, so as a result, I ended up taking over upon her departure. This is a little bit unusual also in that we should be winding down this particular our term on the council. The state legislature elected to extend our terms by an additional year in order to get the campaigns for municipal office out of the same year as the presidential race. For those of us that run these big fancy campaigns, this will hopefully allow us to buy cheaper TV ads and things because, and I'm being completely facetious, we don't have to go against the big boys that are out there buying all the ad space up. So, but no, it was fatigue by the voters having to go back and forth to the polls all the time. It's difficult to get poll workers and everything. They were basically having to come because you do not, these are separate elections. They do not overlay on top of the other elections. So they basically decided to move it. So we've ended up with a situation here where the current time has been a little bit longer than the one before. So, but that's basically the way way that works. Is there any other discussion about the motion and the second?
I would like to nominate Brad Walker for Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, well, first we got to work on the motion we have, so. Any comment about the existing motion that's on the table? Okay. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Irvin,
No.
Counselor Walker,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts,
Yes.
Counselor Churchwell,
Yes.
Counselor Kirkland.
Yes.
So the motion passes 3-2. Maybe a little unusual for folks to say, well, Mr. Roberts, why did you vote for yourself? Well, you know, I didn't anticipate this vote taking place. No one said anything about being disgruntled at my performance. This caught me by surprise. And you know what? If somebody's not willing to vote for themselves, they probably shouldn't be in the job.
That's right.
I voted for myself when I ran for office, so I mean, I might as well vote for myself for this particular one, so. We can entertain another motion, I suppose, since it's on the thing right here. So, I mean, would you like to make another motion, Council?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to nominate Councilor Brad Walker for Mayor Pro Tem.
Is there a second?
Second.
I actually appreciate that.
You
I actually appreciate.
You just brought it up. so
I actually appreciate your.
Vote for yourself.
I appreciate that, actually, so. Motion and a second. Any discussion about this one?
Nope.
I believe Mr. Walker would do an excellent job. I would say that right there on things. Mr. Walker, have you completed your municipal training and everything yet, or?
As much as possible.
Okay, but you have not received any certification at this time?
No, I'm still a little short on
Okay,
some of the,
okay.
my primary job takes
Okay.
care of that a lot of times.
Trust me, I'd actually like to hand the gavel over. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Irvin,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Roberts.
No.
Counselor Churchwell,
No.
Counselor Kirkland.
No.
So that motion fails 2-3. Does anyone else want to be nominated for this job before we leave tonight?
Well, it's quite obvious we could nominate half the room and the votes are going to be not in favor.
Okay. All right, that concludes our new business for this evening. So I will now, first off, make sure is there anyone from the staff that needs to address the council about anything, so. Eric, you got a chance to talk earlier. Heather, I thought I saw a hand motion there at one point in time there, and I know, again, you're really working hard too, so we hats off to you back there in the back. I did not know anything with Kevin here or anything, if there's anything you need to say or anything. Okay, good. All right, well, with that being said, then we will now open up to public comment. I do want to go ahead and pre-recognize as our first person, our chief from Palmerdale, who will introduce our special guest from the fire board. So we have a few fire board members here tonight also.
Oh,
So
good.
please come up to the front.
Good evening, everyone. Let's see. Nobody can ever hear me.
You can walk around with that thing, Chief,
Yeah.
if you want to.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Be sure you tell us, like you might forget, about that very large vehicle we saw parked out there.
Yeah. I think we've been on basically a double-edged sword for a while now. Even going back to the original reason for, the assistance from the city when we were able to get it. It was brought up initially to help us try to retain paramedics and personnel. And these last couple of years without it has really put a dent in our budget, making things more difficult. We're also losing basically half of our experienced staff. They're going through their RSA retirement, so they're going to work at another fire department that has RSA as well, and it kind of increases what they are able to draw the rest of their lives. We tried RSA twice. It's way too expensive for Palmerdale to do it. Right now we're looking for several different types of incentives to try to retain people. Like we've always just had 5 holidays. We're going to 10. Hopefully that's what we're discussing. Maybe some type of matching retirement account, something along those lines. Kind of up in the air because, like I said, when I lose these guys, I'm losing the experience. Like both station captains are gone as of yesterday.
So this has already happened?
It's happening as we
Okay,
speak.
all right. Well,
Yeah.
you said you lost them yesterday, so they've served their last shift?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not know that.
Yep. But on the other side too, we are working, instead of just paying to send people to the fire school, we're also trying to do EMT all the way up through paramedic this year. And then we can get contracts out of them, and they'll be sticking with us for a couple of years instead of, you know, paying for it themselves and getting picked up immediately by somebody else. And we have hired quite a few younger people that don't have, you know, near the experience or qualifications, certifications that some of these do. But we're holding keeping it taped up together anyway. The good thing, as you mentioned in the beginning, you know, y'all recall we got the first ambulance that y'all had put $150,000 towards, and it came about a year ago. It's doing great. Today we took delivery of a brand new fire engine that we've been working on for like 3 years to get it through the system, and it's outside if anybody wants to happen to go
So
check
Chief,
it
it
out.
takes 3 years now, basically from start to finish, to be able to...
It's even
Electric
longer
engine.
now. I've heard 8 years from some departments that are trying to do it, and 600,000, we got lucky, because everything else is 800,000 and up, just for a fire engine. And, you know, the cost of everything's going up, and you slap fire on it, it goes up twice as fast, it seems like. So it's a positive, and it's something eventually I need to talk to y'all about as well. We're about to have 12 trucks and 8 parking places to store the trucks. You know, when we're spending this kind of money on the trucks, or the ones we're fortunate enough to get from the county, you know, they're still almost $400,000 vehicles. I don't want them sitting outside. I guess we'll save that for another evening, but there is some definite help I would like to request from y'all when the time comes. Commissioner Knight has already put some money towards it for whenever it comes around. He's given us $50,000 to go. And really, that's about it. I kind of came prepared for a different topic, and then I'm just felt like I put myself on the spot tonight for some reason.
Well, Chief, I know you and I go way, way back. I was privileged to be on the board when we hired you, and we appreciate all the service that you've done over the years for folks. I know you've saved many lives. You've saved a lot of property. You've procured millions of dollars worth of equipment, some of which you didn't even have to spend the folks here from Pinson and Palmerdale's money to get, which is even better. But we do appreciate you and the men up there at the service, what all you've done. Now, in our discussions, and I'm not sure of the answer on this right here, but there was a time period there where we were giving you all about $75,000 a year to, and it expressed a desire to try to continue to do that, but then that stopped. And so when was the last time we gave y'all any money?
2022 was the last payment we received, or
Okay.
grant, however we,
Okay.
and, you know, like I had mentioned, we were discussed with the council that trying to budget, say how long was this gonna be there? And y'all said unless something happened and y'all weren't the council, or if something happened with the city and couldn't do it, that we could pretty much expect it to be coming every year. So the last 2 years, I budgeted it in our budget, and then that leaves a pretty big hole. Just, and I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. You know, we're extremely grateful for anything and everything y'all have done for us, because y'all have helped us through some times that I wasn't sure we were going to make it through. So I don't know. I've lost myself again.
Well, Chief, the $75,000 figure actually came from that being the number that we'd given y'all in the past, and basically trying to make up for that particular aspect. And that's where the $150,000 figure that's in my proposal actually came from. We went back during our, and Mr. Walker and I both saw this independently, and that was that we got to looking at the previous expenditures for last year while we were working on the budget stuff, and we saw where we did help out the folks over at Glenwood, which I do know from talking to you that they've been a really good department to work with, and that they assist y'all in a lot of runs, and so that's very good. I know they're small, and they're kind of like where we were a long, long time ago.
They're small but dedicated, we'll say that.
Small but dedicated. And so we were able to help them out last year through some turnout gear. We gave y'all $0.00, and then Centerpoint, we gave them $0.00 outside the monies that we paid for services rendered, because of course we contract with them for our fire marshal service. So
What we can say is we are consistent.
we have been consistent.
Equal across the board, that's all we've ever asked.
And that is true. We actually, they represent similar geographic areas here.
We
within
might
the
as well
cities.
be the same people, because we're just always together running all the calls anyway, but people.
Well,
need
that's been
ambulance
something that's
stuff.
been really nice to see. Again, like I say, you guys pretty much just overlap, and when you call the fire department, doesn't matter where you live, you may see the trucks from either department because they work so closely together, so that's a nice plus. So, again, we appreciate that. I do believe that,
Yep, just so I can quit fumbling around, I'd like to introduce our president of the fire board, Miss Mary Kay Graham, and she had a few things she wanted to speak about, if that's all right.
so Ms. Graham, I had the privilege of serving in your role for probably 12 years.
Privilege.
Potato, right?
Yes.
Um,
And I am Mary Kay Graham, and Marie, I'm at 5010 Loren, Loren Lane in Pinson. And appreciate very much the opportunity to address some concerns. We also have a budget, which we have to pass tomorrow. And I understand the stress over the idea of losing staff. Y'all have a great staff in your front office. I haven't interacted with too many other people. I interacted with them because the website didn't work for me to reserve a park facility once, and so I came in, and very helpful, very nice people. We're also concerned, as Jason said, we're losing staff. And we're very concerned about that, because I know that it's critical for the city for you to have your staff. But it's critical for us to have our staff if you have a fire or need an ambulance. And when it's you, that's more critical than having somebody help you rent a park facility. And I know they do much, much more. I'm not belittling anything they do. They're very, and they're always pleasant in spite of all that's on their plate. They're always pleasant, so I appreciate that. But we do need to pass a budget. And when I came on in this role, we had received the $75,000 with what we understood to be from the council, an ongoing commitment to do that for us annually. And then suddenly we didn't. And so last year, we try to keep a reserve for when we get let down. But last year, we had to go through our budget, and we didn't increase our, I know they're not technically called dues anymore, but I've been in Pinson 38 and a half years. I always paid dues. But 2 years ago, we did increase them. It's based on CPI. We are governed in how much we can increase. We did not go as much as we could because we didn't want to put any more burden on the citizens than we had to. This year we are having a small increase based on CPI. But we need to be able to keep our people, and we're trying to incentivize this, like Jason was talking about, especially for our EMT personnel. They're the ones that we lose the most. But we also are not going to be able to be involved in the RSA, which is the Retirement Systems of Alabama. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I don't mean to use acronyms, but we're not going to be able to do that because it's based on how long people have been with you already. To do that, you really need to do that the day you start your department. I wasn't there. I don't know if you were there. Nope, you weren't there either. And because if you don't, when you try to join at this point, well, to give you an idea, for us to join with our current personnel, we would have to pay $1.8 million to just join. And then once you join, you can't unjoin. So it's an ongoing cost that you're responsible for, whether you have it or not. So, but we were still trying to do it. My father was a firefighter. When I was a very small child, I went to Montgomery when they passed the RSA with a bunch of firemen. So I understand the importance of this to the firefighters. And we really wanted to do it. And we looked every way we could to get that. But we can't. So in order to try to keep people, we have to come up with other incentives, the holidays, the additional pay for EMTs or anybody who works in transport, basically, the people who work in transport. Because we make money off transport. We don't want to make money off transport because that means somebody's having to go to the hospital. But we do, part of our budget is based off transport. And all of our percentage, we have a almost $2 million budget. So the $75,000 that we're getting from you, if we get it, per year, which now it's in arrears, I'm going to tell you you're in arrears $150,000, and you got a payment coming due, so you can start looking at $225,000 as far as the way we see it. But that's a very small part of our budget, but it's critical. It can mean, and we've got guys who are working on grants. We've got new heavy-duty washer dryer for our uniforms from a grant. You know, we try every way we can. The guys do, not me. I also make $0. But, you know, they try really hard to find other sources of funding. And we try to work with the county and then with you. But I say all that to say, I know $75,000 sounds like a lot. And it is when you don't have it. And it really hits our budget when we don't get what we thought we were going to have. So I know you're not doing budget tonight. I thought you were going to. But I would really like for you to keep that in mind when you do get around to trying to pass a budget. Because we got to pass one tomorrow, with or without it. So thank you so very much. And I'm Mary Kay Graham. It's good to, I know some of you. I don't know all of you. Oh, by the way, I do know Kevin. I've known him for a long time. You got a good guy. But I appreciate very much you giving me just a moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wilson, don't you serve on that same fire board now?
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about y'all's needs, or?
I hadn't been on it but about a year now. I've been in mine too long.
And if they haven't taught you it takes money to run that fire department, they're falling down on the training.
He got a quick introduction to the numbers.
Great. Chief, is the truck still outside? So afterwards, I know it's a little dark, but I'm sure if anybody, you can light, it has lights?
I can assure you that you will be able to see it when he lights it up.
We may need sunglasses. So Chief, you are welcoming folks to take a look at your new truck outside once the meeting closes. Great. We appreciate you guys coming down. I had the privilege of being at a Chamber of Commerce meeting a month ago. Your counterpart down at Centerpoint, Chief Dolan, gave a nice presentation down there, and we got the chance to see, I think, Mr. Churchwell, you and Ms. Kirkland were both there, weren't you?
Yeah,
Okay. So all three of us happened to be able to attend that day, and the got a chance to see his presentation, and he, that actually was, I'd been thinking about this, but that's what really got things rolling once he outlined several of the things that they're facing down there. And again, you know, both you guys are in the same boat, because the fact is that, yeah, it's the same stuff, same expenses. He explained to us about they're fixing to start working on their next truck, and the timeline's really scary for them too. And the, you know, losing personnel. I mean, the help wanted sign's always out down there. And the fact is that these larger municipalities are able to offer more, and so they pull the people away, and we don't want to have that. We want to be able to continue to have what you guys have had. And you know, I look at it as a case of there's a biblical principle. It's called the first fruits, and basically that is that you set your priorities as far as for what you think is the most important. And to me, the most important thing that we have here as a city is the police and fire. If we don't have that, then everything else is pretty much just extra. And what we've done is over the last couple of years is that we have ignored one of those areas, being the fire department. And so I thought, well, let's take a look at this and see if we can't make it work. Kevin, that was the reason why I was asking those questions earlier about the budget and about allocating some of these previous funds, and why that was important to know. Because obviously, looking at our current revenues, we could not afford to give a grant of this magnitude to these departments. But perhaps we can with the reserves. I know the mayor's on several occasions mentioned the fact that we had you know, a lot of money in the bank, and so, but we don't know really what we can spend, and so we thought we might want to find that out. So as you can see, it's important because these fire guys are needy. Is there anything else, or anyone else from the public that would like to speak? If there's not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hereby adjourn this meeting.